Here we go. And we are live. Antra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Can't stop laughing. It's Monday. You must be like talked out.
Yeah, like I usually talk to one or two people a day, and we're gonna be at 30 here pretty soon. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of lessons, a lot of really interesting people have stopped by. So yeah, it's part of me is like this was stupid, but the other part of me is like this is something that will provide some value to people. So it's worth it.
Have you talked
Do you have a
to,
lot?
just really curious, have you talked to a bunch of people that you didn't know before, or is this all people that you kind of knew?
It's about 50-50.
Nice.
Half of the people that I didn't know, a few of them were introduced by people that I know, so sort of a second degree. A couple people that I hadn't talked to yet on LinkedIn, a couple people from Twitter. So it's about 50-50. And some people like didn't have the context. They didn't really know who I am. They just thought they're jumping on a podcast, and little did they know I'm not a podcast. I'm like, I'm an amateur just trying to have conversations. And I think they were expecting like a professional podcast. Like, no, that's not what's happening here. This is something much different.
I knew what
I think. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've been working together long enough where you have the context. So you
I
get
knew.
it.
That's right.
You have a lot of stuff going on. I feel really fortunate to be part of some of those things, and you're an entrepreneur who has a lot of things. You see opportunities and you pursue them. And I appreciate that. I'd love to maybe get the summary and have everybody hear a summary of some of the things that you're working on.
Okay. So I have a lot of irons in the fire right now, which is kind of fun and exciting. Initially, I left my career of 20 plus years as an operating room nurse to start Connected Care Patient Advocates, which is my business dedicated to helping people navigate the healthcare system. And mostly those people come to me and my business partner when they're completely frustrated and fed up with the medical system and they're not getting the care that they need. So that was sort of our burning passion and why we started Connected Care. And out of that came a bunch of other, kind of fun, cool things. We started, again, me and my business partner collaborated with some other nurses and started sort of a, what do I want to call it? It's kind of married to another program, a patient advocacy program. It's a business solution for nurses who come out of the patient advocacy course, because we've been nurses forever. And so to think that we're like super in the know about business is a hoot and a half, really. I mean, the learning curve on the business side has been kind of Sierra, my business partner, and I's biggest challenge, which is how we met you, right, Luke?
Yeah.
To get some help on that so that we could grow our business. And so the health manager RN side is the business solution. And basically it's a mentorship program to help those nurses that come out of the program start their businesses so that they don't not do it, which is what happens a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. And then after that, you and I and another nurse friend of mine and another friend of yours started our Renegade, which is going to be a company designed to, first of all, help nurses get their continuing education credits in a way that's fun and engaging and not the kind of courses that make you want to literally poke your eyes out. Right. And then from there, there's just so much possibility, and we're kind of just at the beginning stages of that. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, I am designing a notebook for newly diagnosed cancer patients with a friend of mine that we are going to sell on Instagram. And the reason we're both doing this is because we both had cancer diagnoses, and not only did we see things in a different way and we're pointed in some different directions about what it means to be healthy, which is really where we want to point newly diagnosed cancer patients, is to the idea that no matter how sick we are, we're still okay. that we all have innate well-being, that we're all, that's our birthright. And so we want to point people in that direction, and at the same time provide them a tool that kind of helps them navigate that diagnosis, because it's super overwhelming.
Yeah. So just a little bit going on. So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. How do you decide which ideas to take action on?
Well, I think, funny enough, since I started Connected Care, it's sort of just, you do what occurs to you. And as it occurs to you, you do it. And if it flops, it flops. And if it's successful, it's successful. And really, in my businesses, I don't really have a lot on them. And so when something goes south, I don't really care. Like, it just doesn't, I just don't put a whole lot of like my whole, like, this is do or die. And so it seems like I can navigate it really quite gracefully, because if you don't have anything on it, then the failures aren't a big deal, and the successes are like, awesome, this worked out. So I do what occurs to me. I mean, it's been helpful. To be totally honest, it's been super helpful to have somebody like you in our lives to help us kind of navigate those business, kind of the learning curve, really. And so, doing what occurs to us to do has been kind of our motto, but it's also been really helpful to have somebody kind of come in and guide us. You could do this, you could do this, because you don't know what you don't know. So,
yeah. And I really appreciate that about you and Sierra and Karen, asking for help and raising your hand. How did you know it was time for you and Sierra with Connected Care to say, we need a little bit of help with what we're doing? What was it that was going on, or what happened? And I'd love to kind of hear that.
So we'd been in our business for 3 years. And, for us, really, it's been really nice, because it's really been kind of an upward growth. We've never really had to struggle, in the sense that, we don't have our empire yet, but at the same time, we're not in the, deep, dark depths of the red line, right? Like, so for us, that, I guess, kind of kept us going for a while. And then it was like, well, we could probably reach more people. We could probably do better at the marketing. It was the business side that kind of tripped us up. It was like, okay, we've done the initial things we need to do to start our business. We know, like, we have our business license, we have our nursing insurance, the things that we knew we needed to have in place legally. And we've done a lot of marketing too. We've gone out and we've learned how to speak in front of groups. The first time we ever spoke in front of a group, I had note cards with me, and I had to like stop myself in the middle and go back to them, because I was so bad at speaking in front of people. But over time, it got so much better, because we just practiced and practiced and practiced. But we were really kind of stuck on, okay, well, we've done all these things that have occurred to us to do. What else is there? So it was kind of a, what else can we do? It was more of a, there's a lot out there. Let's see what else is out there.
Yeah. That's great. You guys established a really good business. You had gotten it to a really good place. And I think that it's fairly common for entrepreneurs to underestimate how to get to that next level, like the business processes and what it takes. So I appreciate that you guys had the wherewithal and self-awareness to ask for help, and you knew when to ask for it, and you knew how to ask for help to get the right kind of insight, I think. So other than the operational pieces, what are some of the lessons learned going from your career in nursing to entrepreneurship? What are some of the things that maybe surprised you? What are some things that you learned along the way?
Well, I think being a nurse for as long as I was, and really being in the culture of the medical world, it's very hierarchical. It's very, top down. It's not, you kind of, you get your paycheck, but you do what the man says, right? Like, there's not a lot of room for creativity. And when you do get creative, sometimes it goes over, and sometimes, especially where I worked in the operating room, not so much. I mean, the culture is just the culture. And so I got really frustrated with that. And I like, for example, I got to be a quote, what they called a patient champion, which was basically,
Mm.
somebody who kind of helped, help the hospital learn how to get our patients to really enjoy their experience in the hospital, and to really like it, kind of like what I'm doing now, just in the hospital side. But it just, it just seemed like initiative after initiative we do, and then it would kind of fall flat, and then it wouldn't go anywhere. And so I just got so frustrated with that, because the creativity just got so stifled. So that's been really so exciting for me, is to be able to just do, whatever I want, knowing that if it doesn't work out, whatever, next, I can go to the next. It just, the creativity has just been so much fun, just to feel like you could do whatever you wanted to try. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't. So it's one thing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Eliza Delgado and I had a conversation this morning, and she was talking about like the differences in entrepreneurs and business owners. And like, you can be a business owner and not necessarily be an entrepreneur. Like, you are a business owner, but you're entrepreneurial in spirit. Like, you understand that you need to run experiments along the way, and you understand that some of this stuff just isn't going to work out, and that's okay, because we'll learn some things and we can apply that to the next experiment. So when you think about what entrepreneurship means, whether that means business ownership or not, in your sort of definition, or how you describe entrepreneurship, what does it mean to you to be an entrepreneur?
Well, it means that I get to be creative, for sure.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways, like, I feel like I show up more. I show up more for my clients. I show up more for my partners. I feel more accountable in some ways, I mean, not that I wasn't accountable at my job. I did it to the best of my ability, but it was kind of a slog sometimes. And I don't ever feel like this is a slog. Yes, it ebbs and flows. Yes, it's not always perfect, but it's not a slog for me. I mean, it's just, I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, today I get to be present for a client, or I get to engage with my business partners, or I get to, and it's exciting and it's fun. So, it feels like, I kind of won a lottery ticket, because it's not, oh my gosh, I have to drag myself out of bed and go to work one more, I mean, and not like I was like that all the time. I mean, I feel like I showed up at my job when I was a nurse and I did the best that I could. But it's just a different atmosphere, and it's really fun to kind of take things to the edge. Like, how far can you push yourself? I mean, it's funny with my business partner, Sierra, because she always laughs. She got voted to be the least likely person to ever take a risk. When she was in high school, she took some risk assessment test, and she's a super grounded person. And I guess if you just met her off of the streets, maybe you might think that about her. But like, being able to grab her, who was willing to take the risks and just jump on anything we do. I mean, I tend to be the person who comes up with all the ideas, but she's right there beside me, like, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And so you can't always do that inside of a 9-to-5 job, especially where I worked. There's a very set way you do things. You go there, you do your job, and then you go home.
Yeah. How do you keep it all organized? You've got so much going on, so many people that depend on you. Like, how do you keep it all straight?
I'm not very good at that. I mean, I wish I could say I was uber organized, but I'm not so much. I think it's the accountability piece. It's the piece of knowing, like, somebody's depending on me to get something done. And so in my head, I keep it organized that way, I think, is the best way I can say it. If a client needs something right away, I know in my head that I got to get that done. I wish I had a better system. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah. With Connected Care, within Connected Care, you all ran experiments sort of within that as well, experimenting with different kinds of lead generation and with marketing, and with, like, do we look at newspapers and podcasts and different social media things, and all kinds of other experiments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you approach those different types of experiments, and what you've learned from those experiments, in particular with, like, just marketing and getting yourself out there and winning new business?
So, like I said before, we really got out there and just did a lot of public speaking before COVID. I think
Yeah.
that was the biggest way we kind of, pushed our marketing strategy was that way. And I will say that was great for us. I mean, I can walk into a crowd of 100 people and give a presentation and I just show up. Usually I don't even prepare for them. I don't have to because I know what I'm talking about. I know the content that I want to share. And it seems better actually when I just show up because I'm just me in the moment, which I think people can relate to. So that was kind of our first strategy. And then after that, I kind of ended up with the social media platforms. Sierra tends to be more detail oriented. So she did kind of all the business side stuff. And so it was a matter of, okay, how do I run Instagram, for example? And it was really funny because not so long ago, my daughter, who's 19, took a look at my Instagram business page and she was like, Mom, this is terrible. I'm like, what do you mean this is terrible? She's like, these photos, like, where are you getting these pictures? Like, they make they're all over the place. There's no rhyme or, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, I had no idea what she was even talking about. She's like, you have a logo, you have a color palette. You should be making your posts so that they kind of all look not the same, but that they have the same theme, the same colors. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, I guess I could try. So I did. I got on Canva. I figured out how to work Canva, and my Instagram page looks 100 times better. And I've gotten so many comments about how nice it looks. And I just get these ideas like, oh, what if we did a provider spotlight? Like, what if we just showcased our favorite doctors on social media? Like, how cool would that be? And how nice would that be for people? Like, you don't even need to ask them because it's all, this person's a total rock star. And so we started doing provider spotlights and people love it. Like, I get so many likes and so many comments and, oh, I would really like to see that doctor. And I just feel like, more than putting up testimonies about the kind of work we do, I'd rather put up stuff about other people and about the kinds of, care other, providers give. And so the focus has really been on, I don't know, spreading, goodness, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
So that was another strategy was, just trying different things, a theme on what do your labs mean? And every other post was something about a different lab value. So that was a strategy. What else have we done in the marketing world? The speaking, a lot of, Facebook stuff on our business page, same kind of thing. And then the HubSpot, we got on HubSpot, thanks to you, Luke. And so, the ability to be able to actually have a database of clients and vendors and, all of our contacts and being able to, mass email them information about what we do. So that's still in the works, but I would say that, we constantly are putting people in there and we're building that. So that one's a little bit of a learning curve for me still. And then there's a ton of stuff that I don't know, right? So it'll be a matter of when I know it, I'll probably try it.
Yeah, you're really good at these experiments, right? Having creative ideas and then just going with it. And I think that there's an element of confidence, an element of sort of fearlessness. And I think that helps you be a really strong entrepreneur. And I think that's a really good lesson for other people to think about. Like, be creative and think about new things and just experiment a little bit, and you'll learn from those experiments. And I think that makes you a really strong entrepreneur.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I have zero fear about it, actually. Zero. Yeah. It doesn't ever even occur to me to be afraid about it. I don't know if that's like, it feels like a gift because I know people get really caught up in their heads about their businesses.
Right.
And it doesn't happen to be an Achilles heel for me at all. So it's super easy to jump and see what happens.
That's great. I mean, it's great that it's just natural for you. I mean, because you're right. A lot of people get hung up there, or they, get really concerned and they worry a lot. And for you, it comes natural, right? I mean, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So we're on 20 minutes. Time flies, and I appreciate you stopping by. I'd love to give you some time just to talk about any other lessons learned, whatever's on your mind, tips, tricks, jokes, whatever you've got. I'd love to hear what you've got.
What else? Well, I mean, my first passion has just been this idea that, we can help each other and I can help people by, helping them to navigate the healthcare system. And I think if there's anything I would want to leave with people is not so much my business as that I would encourage people to really be engaged in their healthcare and to really know that doctors and nurses and providers are guides. They're experts in their fields. They go to school for a reason, but they don't have the power to make the decision for you. Only you can do that. And so I always tell my clients, if you engage in your care, then you're in charge of your care. And the team wants that because they want you to get better, but they can't do it for you. And we are so conditioned in our society to think that the doctor knows best, that we have to do what the doctor says. And that's not the truth. The truth is we use them as guides, and we use them because they have expertise in their fields. And then we become informed about the kind of care we can receive. And then we make a decision for us on what's best. And so I just more than anything, that's what I want people to know, which is why I became an entrepreneur in the first place.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by and having this conversation. A ton of value. Thank you so much. We'll chat soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lou. That was awesome.